if you want to change your life, but you feel stuck, then it's because you're choosing your lower self over your higher self. Now, the lower self is the version of you that constantly chases pleasure, that values comfort over growth, and that's focused on feeding addictions and chasing pleasure and, mindless scrolling, smoking weed, playing video games. And the version of you that wants to chill and enjoy their life, even though they're really just using all those things as a cope not to do the hard things, not to be disciplined, not to make progress. And the higher self is the version of you that's focused on progress, on committing themselves to a goal and committing themselves to a mission. And I used to think I can just balance them. I can juggle both the lower lifestyle and the higher lifestyle, because I told myself, I still want to enjoy my life, even though I was just feeding my addictions and I was just digging myself into a hole, because that's what it really does. When you're constantly chasing pleasure and comfort, you're telling yourself it's what you need to in order to rest and to kind of wind down, but it's really just creating this emptiness within you, and you're constantly feeding that, and you're really just feeding addictions. So I used to think I can just balance them, and I can still play video games, still smoke weed, still scroll for hours on my phone or watch YouTube videos endlessly, but then still make progress. But I always ended up either quitting what I was doing, giving up, or feeling stuck and never getting to the next step. And I always thought it was something on the outside that I had to change, something about my business, something about my strategy, something about the way I was doing it that I had to change. But it was actually my lifestyle outside of my work, outside of the thing that I was trying to progress in. It was actually that lifestyle that held me back, because I was constantly choosing the lower self over the real self or the higher self. So there is these two lifestyles, and you always have two options. You're always confronted with two decisions. You either choose the real self, the higher self, or the lower self. So when you have a craving to do something, to feed an addiction of yours, to follow a negative habit, you can give into that and do it. And that is the decision towards your lower self. Or you can acknowledge that feeling, acknowledge that craving, but still do what you know is right. On the other hand, you might not feel like doing the work that you know is necessary to get to your goal. And you can then choose to chill on the couch instead and not do it because you don't feel like it. That's the choice of your lower self. Or you can choose to still do the work even though you don't feel like it. Stay disciplined even though you don't want to. And these decisions slowly stack up. And the more you make decisions that align with the real self, with the higher self, the self that sets positive intentions, the more you start moving into that reality, moving into that direction. And on the other hand, the more you make decisions that match the lower self, the more you move in that direction, the more your life starts revolving around comfort, consumption, and you start going downhill. And your progress halts and even goes downhill. So you have to identify with the real self, with the higher self. Ask yourself, who do you want to be? Like, who is the version of you that already has the things that you want? And then you choose those things, then you choose those actions that they would take, the beliefs that they would have, the thoughts that they would have. And you kind of imitate their behavior. And the more you align that lifestyle, your real lifestyle, with the life, and the more you align your lifestyle so it matches that higher version of you, the more you start attracting the things, the more you start attracting your goals, and the quicker your progress becomes. And these distractions and these addictions, they don't just rob your time, your energy, your attention, and your focus, but they also, and this is what most people overlook, they also reaffirm the version of you that you don't want to be anymore. They reaffirm this identity you have of the lower self. And that's exactly what's halting your progress and what's making you feel stuck. You know, when you feel kind of lost, kind of stuck, and you're not sure if you're actually making progress, that's because you're consistently choosing your lower self. So it's not just that it's robbing your attention and your focus and your time, it's also reaffirming the identity that you don't want to be anymore. And this affects all areas of your life, your work, your relationships, your mental, and even your physical health. And it changes and impacts the circumstances and the opportunities you attract in your life. It affects everything as a whole. So when you choose the lower self, everything starts to revolve around the things that match that lower self. So it's a matter of identity and self-image, how you see yourself. And then you attract everything that matches that image you have of yourself. So you have to choose between the two. You can't do what I used to do and juggle both. You know, still feed your addictions, still chase pleasure, still focus on comfort, but also progress. It works to a certain degree. You can get to a certain level. But to really move beyond that, to really advance sustainably and make real progress, you have to let go of the lower self. And this is the thing that people overlook. If you're 99% committed, but there's this 1% that still focuses on comfort, still wants to, be the lower self, it's 10 times harder than just being 100% committed and focusing exclusively on your goals and not on pleasure, comfort, and consumption. True commitment makes everything easier. You need less willpower. You need less effort and strain to stick to your goals because you are actually committed. And most people stay stuck and struggle constantly because they're always torn between the lower and the higher, or the real self. So focus on becoming your higher self. Focus on aligning your actions with the person you're trying to become, and let go of the comfort. Let go of the things you tell yourself, I need this to enjoy life, because it's really just your addictions and your ego manipulating you. So focus on that. Focus on choosing the right actions and aligning yourself with the higher self, with the real self, beyond the addictions, beyond the pleasure seeking, beyond the comfort. And everything will get easier, not harder. It gets easier. I hope this helped you. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out the links in the description.